Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening from UAE. I'm Wajeeha. You have been watching a lot of my uh, live streams now. The last one was with Explore Learning, which is like an amazing ed tech company based in the UAE. They offered us, especially for India, Pakistan, Bangladesh regions, they offered us a lot of teacher accounts, even grants. So if you're interested in those, please go ahead and connect on my page. I will help you out. I will help you get those grants out. थोड़ा सा मैं अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे देती हूँ फॉर दोज जिनको नहीं पता. I have been in education for more than 13 years now. I hold a Masters of Philosophy in Education, a Masters of Education in a Masters of Education एंड बैचलर्स ऑफ एजुकेशन. मेरा बहुत 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 लंबा एक्सपीरियंस है बहुत सारे स्कूल्स के साथ पाकिस्तान में, यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ. मैं मैनेजर रह चुकी हूँ करिकुलम एंड प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट की. आई वाज वन ऑफ द फाउंडर्स ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एक्सेलेंस इन लर्निंग एंड टीचिंग बिफोर कमिंग एंड सेटलिंग इन यूएई. यूएई में मैं दुबई में पाई जाती हूँ ज़्यादातर, बिकॉज दैट्स वेयर आई लिव. और मैं जो हूँ इस वक्त आई एम वर्किंग एज एन एजुकेशन कंसल्टेंट ऑल्सो इन यूएई. आई ट्रेन टीचर्स हियर एंड आई वर्क फॉर अ प्राइवेट स्कूल. आई कैन नॉट रिवील द नेम ऑफ द स्कूल ड्यू टू प्राइवेसी रीजंस. लेकिन आपको अगर कोई भी मुझसे मालूमात चाहिए हो, you need information from me, please let me know. Reach out to me on my page, on my LinkedIn page. I'm very active on my LinkedIn. Okay. And so that's about it. So in these 13 years, it's been a long journey. Anyway, let's just get straight to the topic. आज जो है मैं अकेले आई हूँ. मैंने सोचा शायद आप लोगों को मेरा अकेले आना पसंद आए नहीं आए. I have no idea. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I joined a little early ताकि सब लोग आ सकें, गैदर हो सकें, शेयर कर सकें. प्लीज़ इस वीडियो को शेयर करें ताकि आप लोग के जितने फ्रेंड्स हैं, जितने टीचर्स हैं, वो बेनिफिट उठा सकें. एंड आई एम गोइंग टू कीप माई लैंग्वेज लाइक मोस्टली उर्दू, और साथ में मैं अपना चाय कॉफ़ी का कप अपने साथ रखूँगी क्योंकि काफ़ी लंबा दिन हो चुका है और अब आई रियली नीड दैट चाय कॉफ़ी. तो आप लोग भी अपने साथ रखिए, कमेंट्स में मुझसे सवाल पूछते रहिएगा. आज का मेरा टॉपिक है द अल्टीमेट गाइड टू क्रिएटिंग अ क्रॉस डिसिप्लिनरी लेसन. My first question to anyone who knows or who's available at this point watching this video is, what is cross disciplinary? And like, why do we need to be cross disciplinary in our teaching and learning? This is a very big question. Lately, what I have noticed is that uh, there are some people, especially in Pakistan, who are just talking about PBL and STEM and STEAM in the same old manner that they were talking like 3 or 4 years ago. 3 से 4 साल पहले क्या कहते हैं कि स्टेम स्टीम बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें थी. स्टेम आज भी बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है, लेकिन पीबीएल के लिए मैं प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग के लिए ये कहूँगी कि पीबीएल इज़ नाउ अ वेरी माइनर पार्ट ऑफ like a classroom. You can actually do PBL in 20 minutes in a classroom. It's just a project that you get like, obviously there are some projects that need to be scaled up, but instead of being frightened, आप पीबीएल से डरने के बजाय या ये सोचने के बजाय कि हम क्या करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे, ये कैसे मैनेज होगा, आई मीन इट्स एक्चुअली प्रिटी इजी. ठीक है. तो क्रॉस डिसिप्लिनरी लेसन्स की हमें क्यों नीड है और वो क्या होते हैं? Now, cross-disciplinary lessons are basically those type of lessons which are like, it might be a mathematics lesson. हो सकता है वो मैथ का लेसन हो या इंग्लिश का लेसन हो या साइंस का लेसन हो, but it will have integration from math, science, like from other subjects as well. Okay? And I feel that we really, really need cross disciplinary lessons in our classroom. Why do we need cross disciplinary lessons in our classroom? Is because we are teaching a generation of future civilians, okay, who have to undertake tasks which are not segregated into this is only math, this is only science, this is only English. We are teaching a generation which has to have that diverse experience right from the beginning. Now, when I talk about diverse experience, I talk about like being able to merge different concepts together, being able to implement them in situations which do not even exist at this point in time. Okay, now for that I created this very small, बहुत छोटा सा live session है. I'm not going to take much of your time, but I'm just going to help you out कि आप एक स्टैंडर्ड को लेके, ठीक है, उसको अनपैक कैसे करते हैं. द वर्ड इज एक्चुअली अनपैकिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. सही है. एंड देन हाउ डू यू एक्चुअली मेक ऑब्जेक्टिव्स फ्रॉम दैट स्टैंडर्ड, उसको समझकर फिर उसके बाद उसमें डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज कैसे लिंक करते हैं. तो go ahead, share this video, invite your friends if they want to watch. If you think कि ये benefit करेगी सबको, it's a free thing to do. No one's stopping you. It will be available. The video will be available even after like I end it, and it is available on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, now if you look at this, मैंने I know that everyone, like most of my viewers, are sitting in Pakistan, but I have taken Common Core State Standards, okay, which is the American curriculum, और उसी से लिंक किया है मैंने National Curriculum for England के standards को. ओके. नाउ कॉमन कोर में आप एक बात को समझें कि कॉमन कोर जो है वो स्टैंडर्ड्स जो है वो बहुत ब्रॉड देता है, और उनको लिटरली आपको खुद अनपैक करना पड़ता है. आपको उनको समझना पड़ता है कि इसमें से मैं क्या क्या लाइक किसी भी ग्रेड लेवल पे मैं क्या पढ़ा सकता हूँ या सकती हूँ. नेशनल करिकुलम फॉर इंग्लैंड जो है उसमें आपको क्लास वाइज स्टैंडर्ड्स नहीं मिलेंगे, उसमें आपको की स्टेज वाइज स्टैंडर्ड्स मिलेंगे. एंड देन इट इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द टीचर और द करिकुलम head or whoever it is to like segregate those standards into smaller objectives per class. Okay, now key stage 3 जो होता है उसमें year 6, 7 and 8 आता है, which is like grade 6, 7 and 8. ठीक है. अमेरिकन करिकुलम में, विच इज द कॉमन कोर करिकुलम, उसमें ग्रेड वाइज स्टैंडर्ड्स डिवाइड होते हैं. नाउ अगर मैंने मैथ का स्टैंडर्ड्स लिए हैं बिकॉज मैं इसके अंदर लैंग्वेज की एक्टिविटी, साइंस की एक्टिविटी इंटीग्रेट करूंगी. अब सबसे पहले हम देखते हैं कि बेसिकली दोनों स्टैंडर्ड्स जो हैं वो रेशियोज की बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. क्वांटिटीज को कंपेयर करने की बात कर रहे हैं, इक्विवेलेंट रेशियोज बनाने की बात कर रहे हैं, एंड लाइक मोर और लेस दोनों में एक कोलैबोरेशन है. सो वेदर आप नेशनल करिकुलम पढ़ा रहे हो जो आगे जाके हमारे यहाँ IGCSEs ओ लेवल्स में कन्वर्ट होता है, या आप कॉमन कोर करिकुलम पढ़ा रहे हो. कॉमन कोर करिकुलम में यू हैव टू गिव द AP एग्जाम्स, okay, advanced placement exams, when you are in high school. तो it's more or less the same thing. सारे करिकुलम की, इवन जो हमारे पाकिस्तान में करिकुला इस वक्त हैं, उन सब में एक कॉमन बात है कि एट द कोर सारे सेम होते हैं. ठीक है. तो आपने कोई भी स्टैंडर्ड चूज करना है और आपने उसको समझना है कि मुझसे ये स्टैंडर्ड एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या रखे हुए हैं. Now I'm going very slow right now. If someone wants me to like explain again, then I would be very happy to. Okay. So what I've done here is, now this is something which we call as a big idea. Okay. Like the big idea is actually वो जो बड़ा एक कॉन्सेप्ट है उस पूरे स्टैंडर्ड के पीछे वो क्या है. ठीक है. अब इन दोनों स्टैंडर्ड्स में जो कॉमन बात है वो ये है कि ये हमको हेल्प करते हैं इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग रेशियोज एंड प्रोपोर्शनल रिलेशनशिप्स. चाय पीते रहे साथ में. Join me for a cup of tea or coffee. I actually have coffee. You can have your cup of tea and continue learning with me. We are going to keep this session informal basically and try to enjoy ourselves. So, the big idea behind these two standards was कि you have to understand the ratios and proportional relationships, ठीक है, ताकि हम real world problems को solve कर सकें. Now, उसके साथ हम एक essential question देते हैं. We ask the students how understanding ratios and proportions help us solve problems in everyday life. So that means कि बच्चों को कहीं ना कहीं कोई concept ratios and proportions का होना चाहिए, proportional relationships का. ठीक है, नहीं है तो this is where you actually in the classroom sit and talk to them about proportion क्या होता है, ratio क्या है, हमें कहाँ पे नजर आते हैं. So आप directly जो है you do not dive into the topic and you don't start teaching on the board. What you actually do is you break the standard down in front of the student and you sort of like help them understand कि उनको actually करना क्या उसके अंदर. Now, moving ahead, I have broken these standards into the different DOK levels. DOK is like Bloom's taxonomy except it's depth of knowledge levels. इसके 4 levels होते हैं, ठीक है. Please, just because it looks fancy, do not write like sorry, do not write a fancy word in your learning outcome or learning or your objective. Okay, like it's fine क्योंकि आप शुरू में पढ़ा रहे हैं तो आप बेसिक डीओ के लेवल 1 पे अगर पढ़ा रहे हैं तो यू कैन हैव like a word like a verb like identify and write या recall. क्योंकि अगर आप recall नहीं करवाएंगे तो आप नेक्स्ट लेवल पे डेप्थ ऑफ नॉलेज में नेक्स्ट लेवल पे नहीं जा सकते हैं, which is like skills and concepts का level है वो. And it talks about solving, okay, creating. So then level 3 is about strategic thinking. How do you use that particular thing, or like उसको आप contextualize कैसे करते हैं, ठीक है. Then in DOK level 4, it's extended thinking. Like now you have made them have the skills, the concept, you've made them recall, you have developed the strategic thinking. Then you go into extended thinking. Now, the problem is that extended thinking level at DOK level 4, not every child in your classroom will be able to reach DOK level 4. It is possible that maybe 10% will be able to reach that level, but it's fine if most of them at least achieve level 3. Okay, so this is how depth of knowledge works. Now, what I have done here is just taken those like small objectives. First of all, I broke down my standards. I like actually collected a bunch of learning objectives based on the depth of knowledge levels 1 till 4. जरूरी नहीं है कि मैं एक ही क्लास में सारे अप्लाई करूं, ठीक है. उसके बाद मैंने एक छोटी सी एक्टिविटी बनाई है विच इज कॉल्ड एज द रेशियोज रेसिपी. नाउ मैंने टाइमर उसके साथ रखा है, ठीक है. टाइम आई हैव गिवन देम अ टाइम लिमिट विच इज लाइक 10 minutes. So now if you notice I have kept a learning objective here also, ठीक है. The learning objective is create a recipe using ratios, and then I am giving very clear explicit instructions. Okay, write down the recipe for your favorite food. Now double the ratios because you have to serve it to more people. um, Write how you change the recipe using ratios. Now if you look at it, what is a recipe for, like what is the recipe? It's used in the kitchen, sahi hai. So this everyday integration here. Now I mean, I bet a lot of kids go into the kitchen, like everyone ultimately probably has to go into the kitchen, चाहे वो आपको चाय बनाने जाना पड़े कुछ टाइम बाद या आप chicken kadhai banaye, or you make biryani, but or you make pasta, whatever you make. Now every kid knows that recipes are like ways of making food. And I have integrated ratios, because what are recipes but ratios? Like, for example, if you're making uh, chicken kadhai, so how many tomatoes are you using? What is the ratio of chicken that you're using? Now, if suddenly there are guests in your house, what happens at that point? Like, how do you double it? So the ratios are actually increasing. Yes. So this is how I integrated like a very normal everyday process into my mathematics classroom. I asked them to write the recipe first, like the simple recipe that they know. Then I asked to double it, which is like they're just multiplying it by two. And now they're going to write down how the recipe changes. Okay. Like, is there a change in the number values or not? The important part is कि हर activity के साथ आपने assessment form क्या रखा है. Metacognitive development is essential with every small thing that you do in the classroom. हमको ये लगता है कि assessment is a very big thing. जब हमसे कोई कहता है कि I'm going to come into your classroom and assess and look at how you assess your students, your assessment can be as simple as like just have the friends talk to each other. Okay. In this activity, what I've done is I've like actually written, share with your friend how the recipe changed in ratios, because you have to increase it. Think what will happen if you decrease or further increase it. So you're actually making them think now, okay, what happens if they like take it down, or what happens if they further increase it. So you're actually making them think about their own thinking process right now, and they're having a conversation. So there is a collaboration, there is peer assessment taking place in the classroom. Now this was just like literally it should take 10 minutes, but in the beginning give your kids more chance, more time opportunities to complete the activity. Maybe from in the beginning you can have 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay. And then you can cut down to like 10 minutes, and then you can actually keep cutting the time down so that you can integrate more and more real life practical and cross disciplinary aspects in your lesson plans. But everything starts from the very beginning, day one, say. Okay. Now, now moving ahead, this is a 20-minute activity where they have to do real life ratios. Okay. Now, in real life ratios, what they're doing is, again, मैंने जो है वो learning objective डाला है. Discover and illustrate the fascinating ratios and proportions that exist in the natural world around us. This is science integration. This is actual literal science integration into ratios, which is a math topic. Fibonacci series, I think everyone knows about the Fibonacci series. आपको नहीं पता, या आप मैथ्स के टीचर नहीं है या साइंस के टीचर नहीं है, तो प्लीज गो वॉच डैन ब्राउन की एक नॉवल थी डिविंची कोड. डिविंची कोड में फिबोनाची सीरीज का बहुत और रेशियोज का बहुत एक्सप्लिसिट लाइक जिक्र है, आर्ट एंड साइंस दोनों में. So this is actually science, and it can actually be it's actually patterns also, so it is a bit of art also. Now if you noticed, पहले भी मैंने लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव उस स्लाइड पे डाला था ताकि बच्चा रिफ्लेक्ट कर सके कि क्या मैं ये काम कर पाया या नहीं कर पाया. Now next activity also मैंने एक सेपरेट लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव रखा है, और उसमें है कि आप डिस्कवर करें और इलस्ट्रेट करें. ठीक है. Which means कि I'm making them now like look around them. Okay. And try to illustrate is like draw or sketch ratios. Task kya hai? These instructions are very very important. The task is to listen and think about how ratios are present everywhere in nature. Now यहाँ पे टीचर का काम है कि आप एक छोटा सा वीडियो दिखा सकते हैं कि किस तरह से रोजेस, अगर आप रोज को ऑब्जर्व करें तो रोज के भी जो सीरीज होता है, जो पेटल्स जिस तरह से लाइक लगे हुए होते हैं, हाउ पेटल्स आर अरेंज्ड इन अ रोज is also actually a ratio. It's a Fibonacci series. It's ratios. Okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, everything around us is in a ratio. Or snail, you can show them the shell of a snail, and you can show like how the shell of a snail illustrates ratios in specific patterns. Okay, so now ask them to pick out a natural element, and they can like actually start from anywhere. It can be a tree, it can be leaves, it can be flowers, anything. It can be an animal. And what they need to do is they need to start thinking about ratios, patterns in there. Okay, now what you're doing is you're not just discovering, you're not just putting science investigation into it, you're also like making them think, like curiosity, you're developing their curiosity, their critical and creative skills. Okay, now from here, okay, so there was an overlap. In one portion, they have to research and discover. So they're going to look, research for chosen elements. Okay, what kind of ratios or proportions are in that natural element, how does this ratio help the plant, animal, या जिस भी structure में है, fossils हैं, snails हैं, जो भी हैं, ठीक है, किस तरह से उसको वो हेल्प करते हैं, कोई बेनिफिट है उसका या नहीं है. And then on the next one they can actually draw it out on graph paper, or if they are just illustrative they can use just their copybooks, notebooks, and also write a few sentences. Okay, now what is the assessment part in this one? The assessment part in this um, activity is the presentation. Students shared their findings with the class, explaining the science behind the ratios. So, what they're doing now is they're actually literally going to present their sketches, and like because they were also writing down with it, they're going to explain. Okay, so there is discussion based assessment over here at this point. Okay, and you can randomly choose two students to provide a feedback. हो सकता है, क्योंकि बहुत बार हो सकता है कि वही सेम एनिमल या ट्री या प्लांट या नेचुरल एलिमेंट सिलेक्ट किया हो अपनी इंटीग्रेशन के लिए. ठीक है, तो आप लोग बच्चों से फीडबैक ले सकते हैं. नाउ फीडबैक क्वेश्चंस यू विल हैव टू actually like give them prompts, like when someone is presenting, raise your hand, ask like where can what is the ratio, or what is the manner of ratio, or what kind of ratios are found in this natural element. I would start by, why did you even choose this natural element? What inspired you to choose this natural element? Right? So that's the type of thing that happens. So pehle wale mein, now I'm going to back to the first activity. So the first activity, which was ratios in the kitchen or ratio recipes, had assessment in form of reflection, peer, while it was also peer reflection. Okay, then the next one has a presentation. So even the teacher has an input in it, and two or three classmates, according to the time and number of students in your classroom, have an input in it, right? Now, always give tips for success. This is something which makes the child feel comfortable, helps them, like tells them what they need to be looking for. I'm sorry. Okay, हम बहुत जल्दी जल्दी एंड की तरफ आ रहे हैं, लेकिन अब हम आर्ट इंटीग्रेशन करेंगे अपने मैथ में. तो हमने सबसे पहले किया एक जनरल रियल लाइफ एप्लीकेशन, लाइक किचन से हमने रेसिपी ली, हमने उसको इंटीग्रेट किया अपने रेशियोज के अंदर, फिर हमने जो है वो साइंस लिया और हमने उसको इंटीग्रेट किया. अब हम एक्चुअल आर्ट इंटीग्रेट करेंगे अपने रेशियोज के अंदर. So to choose, like what they have to do, number one, choose your inspiration. ठीक है, now they have to construct, build anything. ठीक है, it can be a vehicle, it can be an animal, it can be something abstract, but they have to keep in mind ratios and proportions. Okay, plan your task. Now the next step that they have to do is plan their task. If you notice, I am giving these kids step by step instructions what to do in the classroom, or how to conduct their like how to actually do their activities, because as a teacher मैं हर जगह हर वक्त नहीं हो सकती. I cannot possibly be there for every single child, especially if you talk about large classrooms which are in Pakistan. Like you have 30, 40 students in a classroom. I cannot be everywhere, so at least I can give them the most support that is possible from my end, right? So number one, I'm asking them to choose their inspiration. Number two, I'm asking them to actually design a draft. Okay, now what I'm going to ask them to do is something unique. I'm going to ask them, like, based on their draft, to take lego bricks. Okay, now this is lego integration. आपके पास building blocks हैं, आपके पास um like wooden sticks हैं, कुछ भी है, you can ask your kids to use them. Okay, it's not, legos are not like, it's not fixated, it's not a पत्थर पे लकीर के आप legos ही use करें. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask them to select lego bricks or whatever craft material they need, and think about, they do have to keep color, size, shape in mind while they're designing their artwork, or they're actually constructing what they designed. Right now they have to construct the next step, the fourth step is to construct their artwork. They have to start building. Okay, and continuously check that the proportions that they have planned are like being followed in the construction or not, and use a ruler or whatever to help measure, etc. So the planning needs, the inspiration needs to be there, the planning needs to be there, the careful consideration of, does this material help me actually execute this activity or not, like that has to be there, and then the construction part has to be there. Now we are going to then have a different type of like assessment form. We are going to have a gallery walk and discussion. Okay, so what they are going to do is they are going to display their work. Okay, and the discussion, and make sure you have the discussion points on paper, and you have told them about the discussion points in advance. The discussion points can be as simple as, uh, think of a drawing. Which artwork did you find most interesting or creative in its use of proportions? Okay, how did the use of lego or crafts actually enhance the representation of ratios? Yeah, and then the reflection task. Now this is for the individual. The discussion is a whole class discussion, and the reflection is actually just like individual reflection. Reflect on how this activity helped you understand the importance of ratios and proportions in your design. Share your thoughts during the discussion or in written reflection. Now written reflection is up to you. Do you have enough time? Do you think your children are capable enough of doing that written reflection or not? या आप सिर्फ ओरल रिफ्लेक्शन ले सकते हो उनसे, लेकिन हर तरह से आप क्या करें, आप मेटाकॉग्निशन प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. मेटाकॉग्निशन क्या होता है? मेटाकॉग्निशन जो होता है, या मेटाकॉग्निटिव जो स्ट्रैटेजीज होती हैं, वो दे हेल्प द लर्नर थिंक अबाउट हाउ आर दे थिंकिंग. ओके, लाइक उनकी थिंकिंग रेगुलेट करने में, उनका सोशल अवेयरनेस, अपना सेल्फ अवेयरनेस इंक्रीज करने में हेल्प करते हैं. Okay, now you do have a rubric, so you can, I mean, make a rubric, give it to the kids. जब वो गैलरी वॉक कर रहे होंगे तो वो इस रूब्रिक की बेसिस पे, and even you on the basis of such a rubric can actually literally like just simply assess the students very quickly. And when the rubric is in front of them, they know on what criterias they are being assessed. So there are 4 criterias. You can decrease them, you can increase them. मैंने लिटरली वहां तक क्राइटेरिया रखा हुआ है कि एप्लीकेशन ऑफ फीडबैक, मतलब आप अपना फीडबैक जो खुद को दे रहे हो वो कितना इफेक्टिव है, ठीक है, या जो आप एंगेजमेंट कर रहे हो डिस्कशन में वो कितनी इफेक्टिव है. सो आई हैव एक्चुअली लिटरली केप्ट इट टू दिस मैनर. एस्थेटिक अपील, क्योंकि प्रोपोर्शंस आप यूज करें, तो एस्थेटिक अपील है या नहीं है, is it original, is it creative, and what is obviously the mathematical aspect of understanding ratios and proportions. So it's as simple as that. Rubric बनाना कोई इतना मुश्किल काम नहीं होता, but I do understand that teachers find it very difficult to make a rubric. So I think the next time what I will do is I will simply like take a session on how to create rubrics, and like not just in English but in other subjects as well. So this is how you can very easily actually literally have your whole class, okay, like have a 30, 40, 40, 80 minute period and divide it into like integrate cross disciplinary learning into that 40 to 80 minute classroom. Now when I was talking about PBL earlier on, जब मैं PBL की बात कर रही थी पहले, तो मैं यही आपको कोशिश करी थी समझाने की कि अगर आप नोटिस करें तो ये सारे छोटे छोटे 20 to 30 मिनट 10 to 30 मिनट 40 मिनट प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जो आप अपने क्लासरूम में करवा सकते हैं, ठीक है. PBL is no longer a big thing. Oh my god, PBL something. It is not. It's very simple. It just has to do with how you unpack your standards. आप स्टैंडर्ड को कैसे समझते हैं, आप स्टैंडर्ड को कैसे ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं लर्निंग आउटकम्स में, और उसके बाद आप उसमें कितना इंटीग्रेशन कर सकते हैं डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स का. That is all what you need to do to create a good cross disciplinary lesson. And to be very honest, there are many people who ask me what are the requirements of like getting a job in the UAE or jo bhi hai, getting a job abroad. This is the type of teaching and learning that actually happens in an everyday classroom in like the countries like Middle East, in Middle Eastern countries and other countries. So this is what you need to understand. It's not just the blackboard, it's not just, and it's not even edtech tools. मैंने कहीं एक जगह भी कोई edtech tool integrate नहीं किया इस lesson में. ये सारा वो काम है जो या तो कॉपी पे जाएगा या चार्ट पेपर पे जाएगा, and that is all that it was literally. That is the whole thing that needed to be done to create a good cross disciplinary lesson. Now, again, I'm telling you what is cross disciplinary. It is simply the integration of activities from outside the curriculum into like the topic that you're teaching right now. Now, if you want, what I can do is I can actually make a lesson in front of you. I'm going to upload like a khali presentation for you people and show you कि कैसे एक आप जल्दी से कैसे बना सकते हैं, ठीक है. So let me just save this and show you how to do it really quickly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Let's do it together now. In fact, I will share my screen. Some problem I'm having in sharing the screen. Never mind. Yep. Okay, so this is giving me a bit of problem in sharing the screen. Never mind. Let's just try to do it from here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize myself. Okay. Technology always has its advantages and disadvantages. Yep. Now we can do it. हाँ जी, चलो जी. Okay, अब हम लेते हैं कोई भी topic. So our topic for today is weather. Okay, and we are going to create a big idea. The big idea is to teach, okay, to learn how weather changes from time to time. Okay, essential question. Essential question can be anything like, do you think weather stays the same all the time? Or, okay, now my learning outcome, my learning objective. I'm actually literally right now just going to take like a small learning objective, like identify the changes that take place due to weather change. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an activity. Okay, अच्छा, सबसे पहले मैं इस वक्त सोशल इमोशनल एक एक्टिविटी ऐड करूंगी, सोशल इमोशनल लर्निंग की एक एक्टिविटी ऐड करूंगी. एंड व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज, जो चेंज का वर्ड है ना, मैं उसको हाईलाइट करूंगी उसमें. So for me, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to like actually think of social awareness. Okay, social awareness. Think of how like the weather changes, weather differs. You and your friends also differ. Let's just put in like now what I'm doing is I'm actually connecting like मौसम का चेंज, मौसम की तब्दीली, और उसी को मैं जो वर्ड चेंज या डिफर है उसको मैं लेके एक SCL एक्टिविटी में कन्वर्ट कर रही हूँ, ताकि आई हैव अ 5 to 10 minute like SCL discussion or talk. Do you think changes are bad things? How can people being different help us? So see, from where I was just talking about weather, now I'm connecting it to social awareness. Simple. Next. Okay. Asha, for this one, I'm actually not putting in a learning objective. You can. Okay. Let's talk about changes. Changes. The little cloud. Okay. Now I do have this little cloud audio somewhere. Okay, it's not here on this laptop. Lekin I'm just going to like give them a learning objective. Listen to the audio attached and answer the questions that follow. So, weather is basically a geographic, scientific thing. I integrated social emotional learning into it, and I sort of am now integrating a language aspect into it. So, I literally have like a small audio जो मैंने खुद बनाया है, क्योंकि listening activity होनी चाहिए कोई ना कोई. For it's called as the little cloud. Okay, so मुझे उसके questions याद है, मैं यहाँ पे वो questions डाल रही हूँ. Questions. How was the little cloud different from the others? Did the other clouds make fun of him? Okay, now you're going to put in a few of these questions like this, and then assessment. Talk to your friend. Okay, now this is talking to your friend. This is peer-to-peer assessment. This is not self-assessment, but talk to your friend. Identify if your friend found at least, give them a target, at least 3 new words. Ask them to make sentences with you using them. So what you're doing is, आप भी सुन रहे हो, आपका फ्रेंड भी सुन रहा है, ठीक है. आप कैसे अपने आप को असेस कर रहे हो कि कोई 3 नए वर्ड्स, लाइक वर यू एबल टू फाइंड 3 new words और नॉट, ठीक है. So that's the way to go around it. Then you're asking them to help you make the sentences. So what happens is, if you don't know the meaning, maybe your friend can help you out, right, using them. Okay, so the assessment can actually go on a bit longer, but that's fine. Now let's put in a little geography, weather in different countries. And I'm giving them a scenario. Sarah is from Norway and Ali is from Pakistan. Okay, they meet and become friends. Ali asks Sarah to tell him about the weather in Norway. Pretend you are Sarah and research. Okay, क्योंकि छोटी ग्रेड के लिए लेसन है ये, और मैं जल्दी में बना रही हूँ, तो I'm just like simplifying it. Research about how the weather is different in both countries. Full stop. Okay, now let's have an assessment. Okay, as an assessment, what can we put here? We can put here like, were you able to find the weather differences in the 2 countries? अब देखिए, इस एक्टिविटी में भी थोड़ा सा इंग्लिश एस्पेक्ट आ रहा है, because it's writing, because I want them to write a dialogue. Now write a dialogue between Ali and Sarah regarding the weather in the 2 countries. Simple as that. Okay, so nothing major. Okay, now let's actually put in a science aspect. Yep. Yeah. Now I'm putting global warming. Global warming. Learning objective. Use the term. Okay. Research and illustrate how global warming harms the planet. छोटे बच्चे हैं, ज़्यादा लिखवा नहीं सकते, साइंस का एस्पेक्ट आप क्रॉस डिसिप्लिनरी उसको कर रहे हैं, यू कैन आस्क देम टू इलस्ट्रेट. ओके, नाउ इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्या होंगी? रिसर्च द मीनिंग ऑफ global warming, write 3 to 4 ways or reasons, 3 or 4 reasons why global warming takes place. Now we're going to have actually, and the most important task of it is illustration. Illustrate, draw how global warming has harmed the planet. Calorie walk. Display your work and ask your teacher to give you a feedback. Now the over here is to give a feedback, right? तो हमने बहुत छोटी सी देर में एक लाइक इंग्लिश एक्टिविटी इंटीग्रेट कर दी, एक साइंस एक्टिविटी इंटीग्रेट कर दी, एक ज्योग्राफिकल एक्टिविटी इंटीग्रेट कर दी एक छोटे से लेसन के अंदर, एंड वी मेड इट इनटू अ like cross disciplinary thing, right? Okay, so it was not that difficult, was it? This is what basically cross disciplinary actually means, and how you can actually literally convert every little topic into something which is fun in the classroom, which has art in it, which has science in it, which has geography in it. So this is all up to you guys now. My whole idea of coming here today was to be able to give you the hint of how we can actually not keep subjects segregated, how we can actually keep them, how we can blend them. हमें बहुत ज़रूरत है इनको blend करने की, क्योंकि जो जिस generation को हम पढ़ा रहे हैं, they are going to be faced with a lot of challenges. They have AI, they have sustainability issues, they have to work on the SDGs, they have to fight diminishing resources, etc, etc. So until we give them these skills where they can actually think, like merge their thinking, blend their thinking, bring it together, it's going to be very difficult for these kids to actually survive. Most of us are now surviving because we have adapted to changes, but it was difficult for us, like, to be very honest, I do know that it was difficult for most of us to adapt to these changes. But अगर हम इस तरह से पढ़ाने लगे जहाँ पे merge and match हो रहा है चीज़ों का, तो we'll be able to teach our kids to adapt very quickly. So before I go, I would like to announce that on 2nd February, I am having another live session with an Egyptian company this time. इससे पहले जो सेशन हुआ था वो जो है वो अमेरिकन कंपनी एडटेक कंपनी के साथ हुआ था. दे अनाउंस ग्रांट्स एंड फ्री टीचर अकाउंट एक्सेस फॉर एक्सप्लोर लर्निंग. इस दफा जो 2 फरवरी को सेशन होगा वो एक मैथ एआई कंपनी है based from Egypt. Okay. And again, they will offer you people all these things. Okay. Something like that. I'm not exactly sure. When they come on board, they will tell you what they will actually announce. And from my end, I will be announcing mentoring, coaching sessions for teachers who want to actually learn how to evolve their classrooms and become these dynamic facilitators, not just teach, but become facilitators, be able to facilitate classrooms. Okay. So I'm going to sign off now. I have taken too much of your time. The videos will be available on Facebook, LinkedIn, and my YouTube channel. Please like, watch, share. Love to all. Thank you. Take care.